I did. Can you hear me okay? Very good, very good. Super excited about today's session, actually. Super excited. So everyone can hear us as well. Good. Right. We'll give it one more minute for people to join. Anybody that wants to get involved, they've got 60 seconds, and then we'll crack on with proceedings. We're all missing Frida, actually. I don't know if you guys are, but he's yeah, very clear the last couple of weeks of how much work he's doing, how much yeah, how much grant. There's always a risk when you've got somebody that's doing so much that they take a bit of time away and you really miss them. So yeah, we're definitely missing him at the moment. Yeah, looking forward to Frida coming back, but at the same time, yeah, it's a credit to him actually for the amount that he does. Cool. So we just wait because we always say, there you go, right? So we clicked over, so we're 5 minutes in. So we'll get moving through the agenda today. So we've got so much to cover today. Actually, we've got so much to cover. I think we were very good at moving through it fairly efficiently. So fingers crossed we should be good for time. Just to give sort of a bit of a heads up in terms of just a bit of a heads up in terms of the things that we're going to be covering today. We'll start off as we always do because we're going through beta at the moment. We'll start off with a development update, and then we've got quite a lot to cover in terms of the new white paper, and so we want to make sure that we're covering sort of the changes within the white paper, walking through them individually and getting feedback from you guys. We'll obviously share our weekly social share winner, so one person every week is picked out from Twitterland for sharing an option, and we'll announce that winner. And and then we're going to talk about Free Trade Fridays, which launches this Friday. Bit of an experiment. I think it'd be very interesting to see how it goes down. It's a bit of a play on something that we've got kind of cooking in the background that we haven't announced yet. But yeah, it should be super engaging as well, actually. So we'll talk about Free Trade Fridays, and then Alice is going to give us a bit of an update in terms of the things that we've been doing with regards to marketing, and then we'll open up for general questions. But I think we've got loads of things, and don't be shy in terms of asking questions, because I think probably the first, if you take out social share winner, which is fairly straightforward, we've got 3 items there that can be fairly meaty, a lot of information that's going to be shared. So let's get moving. Number one, I'll give an update in terms of development. So obviously, last week we pushed an update to the contract. If everybody remembers, it's mad actually that it's only been a week because it feels like an age ago. It was last Tuesday, wasn't it, that we pushed the new update, Alice? Am I going mad? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was last week. But anyway, so we pushed the update. I'm pretty sure it was Tuesday last week, and yeah, some massive improvements obviously in terms of the platform. Just to summarize, so we implemented a new Oracle. We have so we've announced the partnership with Pith. We still are partnering with Chainlink. However, just in terms of this part of the platform, we're working with Pith, who announced on their social platforms yesterday. We put out an announcement, obviously, Alice, and also we've got an AMA coming up with those guys, or a Spaces actually. We've got I think over on their channel, which is later this week, right? Uh, Yeah, definitely. I've got some sneaky alpha that I'm going to drop at the end of this call, so remind me as well. So I can't give all the deets, but just a bit of sneaky alpha in terms of the platform. So that was the big news on Pith. I think what we have seen is the gas flow. And what I mean by that is, sometimes it's, we did expect it to be anywhere up to sort of $1 transaction, and what we've seen is that sometimes it's much less, and then other times when it's been crazy busy, it's been fluctuating as high as sort of like $3-4 we've seen in extreme circumstances. It seems to have stabilized a lot, people some confidence that they are pushing an update. They're pushing an update imminently. It's going through final audits and testing at the moment, and there will be a big update to that, and then we're going to see gas come down by about 50% actually. So it's going to make a big difference in terms of like leveraging that oracle. We also, a reminder, we've touched on this on previous calls, previous weeks, that Arbitrum have a very aggressive strategy for reducing their gas as well, actually. So we've got a number of things, and Pith also have another update that they can be pushing. So we should see gas halve, basically, which is obviously is a fantastic step forward. But then there are other Pith updates, and there's also Arbitrum updates in the coming months. Collectively, if all of them come off as they've been described, we would see gas go down around about 95% from where it is now. So really, really significant reductions in terms of in terms of the gas figures. But yeah, so a big step coming up on that in the next week, which I know is obviously key and important to people. We're also, I'm just reading my notes here, and I put we're exploring cross-chin solutions rather than cross-chain solutions. So we shared quite a long time ago, so we're going to explore some different chins. But yeah, we did share quite a long time ago, I think before we even had options beta, that strategically we could see the question of gas being a hot topic, actually, especially with options, and maybe not even so in the way that we've seen it so far, but when makers come in that are making with significant amounts, they will want to move liquidity on and off options without any trades being executed, which obviously any gas for doing that is it cannibalizes their liquidity, basically. So we did we always had a view of that. I think I can share, ZK Polygon team. We've had meetings with ZK Era. We've had meetings with Pulse Chain. We've had many meetings also with Scale. Scale have got a net zero gas solution for users on their platform. So we're talking to many different organizations. Still got cross chain. We still also have in the distance potential for a multi-chain solution, actually, with very, very low gas, where you're able to come into the platform from any chain. But that's something that's a bit more on the horizon. But we are looking, in the short term, in the very short term, at cross-chain solutions. View to, obviously, there's many things that can come as part of those partnerships. Sometimes it can be sort of grants, it can be exposure, joint marketing, or just technical solutions which improve the UX. So we're exploring those with haste at the moment. Update in terms of what's happening going forward. So I'm very, very happy. So two big items for us is obviously Perpetuals next, but also the affiliate contracts. We've got, I think, total count of affiliates signed up now is about 191 affiliates, which is a huge number. It's a great job to the team there. The bounty has proven a huge success, actually. I think probably 80% of our official affiliates have come through the bounty. And I think we're somewhere in the region of about 58 official affiliates. However, we don't have an established affiliate system that's already launched. That is on sort of the beta roadmap. We are in a position where our in-house system, so we won't be using an out-of-house system. We'll use our own. We'll be pushing the contracts for that in about a week's time. So that's obviously from a marketing and a sales perspective, it's huge, because there'll be two levels. I can give you some details on that. So there's two affiliate levels. You have official affiliates, and that has to be signed off and manually approved by the team. And there's a requirement you have to have several thousand followers. There's an absolute minimums. All of those 58 official affiliates that we have, I think the collective following of those is like 1 million, 1.2 million plus. So once we have that affiliate contract set up and the systems in place, then we basically put a fire underneath all of that marketing and sales opportunity that we've got with the work that we've already done. It's, you know, it's a resource that we've already built. It's sat there. They're at the bit, and when they've got their affiliate links, then off we go. So official affiliates of that level, if they're manually approved, will receive 25% of net, not gross, of net trading fees after the liquidity pool is paid of anyone that is that they've referred or has joined their team. And any referee or member of the team will receive a 5% rebate, actually net of fees as well. There will be systems in place to minimise sort of double counting. Obviously, I've shared before, you can't have someone with a gold NFT who gets 25%, who's also an affiliate who gets 25%, who then trades on and gets 25% of options. In the end, we'll be paying somebody else to trade. So there will be systems in place to minimize sort of double counting of that. But the affiliate contract should be with us in about a week's time. Now, the big news is that PLP all purpose contracts are done. They are with the auditors now, so it's with Certic, and we're going through sort of like the checks on those at the moment. Now, clearly for us, we need to start promoting the PLP. What we don't want to do is kind of have any false starts on that. So we just want Certic to get their teeth into the contracts first and start to have, you know, a very clear view of when that process should be finished. And then we'll be in a position actually where we need to launch the PLP. So anybody who doesn't know what PLP is, it's the liquidity pool that supports the perpetuals. No PLP, there is no perpetuals trading, basically. And once we launch the PLP, then there'll be an opportunity for people to deposit directly into that and earn a significant share. So up to 75% is flexible between 15 and 75 as per the white paper of all trading fees from perpetuals are fed into the PLP. So it's a fantastic way of earning in stables and blue chips. So obviously we don't want to, we don't have any full starts, but we're, you know, we're in a position where, you know, front end work is happening and contracts are being audited and we should be good to go. Hopefully not too long. We obviously immediately after that, then we'll also be then launching. There'll be a bit of time between the PLP launch. There will be some incentives that we're going to communicate for early PLP depositors, so watch out for those. And then shortly after that, then we'll launch the private beta. We'll launch the private beta of perpetuals, and then we'll do public beta of perpetuals. And then the rest of beta really is about adding all the additional features like OptiTrade, stable swap, a couple of other features that we haven't announced yet as well, analytics page and things like that. So cleaning it all up. The rest of beta is so when we come to the end of beta, we've got something that's very clean, polished, and tested very well actually by all of you guys. So loads of updates in terms of development. You know, very close to getting into the next big meaty piece of the journey. But happy to answer any questions that people have got. So beta PLP will be the same PLP that moves into there's no, you know, it's a seamless transition from one into another. So how would the PLP? Yeah, so it's a good question actually, and maybe I'll explain some of the because it says more context if needed, and then there's a load more questions. So I think if yeah, no. Let me address. I think a lot of the stuff that you've written after more context, if needed, I'll answer in the next section when we talk about changes on the white paper. However, just to describe the process, we'll launch the PLP. We will not launch and have a single dollar hit the PLP until it is audited. It's any sort of like perpetuals decks, the liquidity pool is the thing that you need to be like extremely cautious with and mindful of. It is it is the health of the protocol ultimately. And and then that liquidity pool will be used during beta and private beta, public beta. We will retain functions on it, because what you want to do during beta is to be able to track data, look at behaviors, really monitor very closely, firstly in a very controlled environment like we did with options, and we made huge progress on private beta options, and we'll do the same. And by having a restricted user base, it means that you've got a small group of people that are in our camp, right? Everybody that's in that private beta group is like super supportive of Foxify and passionate to see it succeed, and we get to iron out anything that you might be concerned about. But we do also have a function to say stop trading, stop the PLP, so that there's always a big red button, which is the sensible thing to do, even when you're in a very controlled environment. And only when we're completely comfortable. We've got some extremely clever people. We came off a call with, you see on our website, Tuan, a DevOps call last week, and Harley sent me a DM and said Tuan's 300 IQ. So we've got some very, very clever people that are super diligent. They've got bags of experience that are working with us, and we'll do our damnedest to break it. And as long as we don't break it, then we move into the next phase, which would be public beta, but it'll be the same PLP that's working all the way through. Cool. And I think I'll answer a lot of sort of the context questions that you put there when we talk about the white paper update, actually, no filter. So Kayan saying he thinks 2 weeks for Perps private beta. I think that's probably a time frame that we would like to see as well. But one thing, and I've shared this before, one thing that's like super comforting with the audits that Certic have done so far with us, and the smart contracts that they've already audited, is they're really diligent. They don't assume anything. They're pushing back. It's and as somebody that isn't a developer, if I see two auditing another development team, and those guys aren't having to talk a few things out, then for me that's probably more of a concern. And so they're super diligent, they're super on it, but we do have to go through that process. I would like to see it be a couple of weeks. It feels like 2 weeks is the new 10 minutes, but yeah, two weeks would be nice. Cool. So moving on to so the white paper update. So it's kind of a bit, no fanfare, kind of subtly done, Alice, in terms of the new white paper. You just chucked it out and said, here's the new white paper. Actually, some really bullish updates. So first off, which we announced last week, is a new tokenomic structure. So the FTV is under 10 million, so it's 9.5 million within the white paper. What does that mean? So anybody that doesn't know, so FTV is fully diluted value. And the way we've designed the tokenomics is in a way that Foxify earns its, as a business, earns its own income the same way as an owner and staker of the token, right? So never can there be a divergence of ambition. Never can there be a situation where Foxify is making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day in fees, and people who have invested and supported I should never use that word, invested. Lawyers don't like it. People that have decided to buy the token and stake it are left in a position where they're kind of missing out on the party. That can't happen because we've designed the tokenomics, a very clear structure. So whilst the total value of all the tokens in circulation is 9.5 million when we launch, half of that, at least half of that, is owned by Foxify anyway, and actually, dependent on how the financials and the numbers work out, even Foxify itself as an organization gets paid 50% of its income in its own token. And so we will be looking to accumulate, as an organization, our short-term goal is to accumulate more tokens. We're going to be, very sort of like focused on that. Actually, as an organization, we're more than happy if nobody wants the Foxify token and we can have 100% of it back. We're more than happy with that. So there'll be a lot of competition for the token in the market because because the tokenomics basically dictate that you're distributing Foxify tokens back to stakers. Uh, and those tokens have to be bought, right? Because the trading fees come USDC and the tokens bought. So there's daily buy pressure then being distributed to holders who you can imagine will then want to either stake that in PLP or to compound their staking position as it is. So there'll be a lot of pressure on the supply, and the circulating supply will be very low. When we look at that half of the 9.5, so we get down to 4.75, just some quick maths. Then actually when you start to take out advisors, team allocations, seed investors, obviously MDB is our angel investor, if you like, with a significant early investment. It means that actually when you start taking out all those chunks of supply that are either vested or effectively locked up, then the total circulating value is very, very, very low of Foxify. When we launch, our goal is that the circulating value on the day we launch be around 1.55 million, so extremely low for a project like ours, which means a significant upside potential. It makes us much more attractive to IDO platforms and launchpads. The reason we've made this fundamental change to the tokenomics. So yeah, so it's very bullish change this week, which was updated in the white paper. We also formally added the feature that we previously announced, which we're terming LC25. Liquid collateral 25, because you can take up to 25% of your own PLP deposit and use it as trading collateral. Obviously, if you lose that, then it will come from your PLP. But if you win using that, then it doesn't touch your PLP. Your PLP is still earning APR for being in the pool. So LC25, nobody else, as far as I can see, across sort of every decentralized trading platform, nobody has this feature. So that's many features that we have that are very unique, apart from the trading platform itself being very unique with the options. So yeah, so two really big updates. The third update, actually, before I cover the third update, is there any specific questions on sort of the tokenomics and the LC25 feature? What are your guys' thoughts on the LC25 feature? I know when LC1000, yeah, I know Garlic's a fan of the feature, that without a doubt. Cool. Okay. No news is good news. Cool. Yeah. So if anyone's not sure or they want to or they have any questions, and then feel free to ask. But yeah, Coptomass is a very innovative feature. It basically means that you can, if you've got $10,000 in the PLP, if you had that $10,000 in another platform like GMX, GNS, and you wanted to trade, and say you wanted 2,500 collateral, you now need net 12,500, or you have to exit some of your position. Whereas on our platform, you're able to basically use your deposit without losing your deposit. It's still in there earning for you, whilst you can use that as trading collateral. So basically, in that scenario, you need $12,500 to have the same scenario on someone else's platform. You only need $10,000 to be in the same situation on our platform. It creates a very, very unique situation. So the third update in the white paper was the split within the PLP. Some very, very clever people have come to me and said, how can Foxify be part of the PLP if we haven't launched the Foxify token? And now obviously that is a bit of a paradox. And the way we're solving that paradox is that we've changed the split. We've decided to go with a much more stable split, actually. And that has a big impact in terms of the way the PLP works. So the PLP is a quasi ETF rather than a traditional liquidity pool, and it will be 55% USDC, and then the remainder is 50% BTC and 50% ETH, right? So 50% Bitcoin, 50% Ethereum. 22.5% Bitcoin, 22.5% Ethereum, making up 45% plus the 55% USDC. So the way it actually works, the way the PLP contracts work, is in a very unique scenario where the USDC will always be used first. So if somebody was winning against the pool, then they would be being paid out in USDC. Now, the logic goes actually that because the pool will always be rebalancing, we would have other issues if we were in a position where you ever got through that USDC because it was being paid out. But if you were ever in that situation, then the PLP would effectively start to liquidate the Bitcoin and the Ethereum to pay out the traders, right? But the reason we've changed that split is so that it's much deeper on the USDC side. It provides a lot more stability in terms of the value of the PLP because 55% of it cannot go down. It also means 55% of it cannot go up with the market, right? Because it's a stable token, but it does give us exposure to BTC and in a pretty sizable chunk, which is not crazy amount. So what the pool will always be doing is rebalancing, right? So if there's $1 million pool, to use round numbers, and somebody lost $10,000 to the pool, now you would have there would be more than 55% USDC in there. So once it reaches a certain trigger point, what the pool will automatically do is rebalance, like a balancing pool. It will basically swap some USDC for Bitcoin and Ethereum to make the percentages true. And the same would happen the other way. If there was $1 million in the pool and it lost $10,000, it would pay out in USDC and it would sell some Bitcoin and some Ethereum to even out the percentages. So it works very dynamically. It's all very intelligent. But yeah, so the big changes are that we have a much deeper split. So where does Foxify fit into this? Because one of the things that we really like about the tokenomics is that as well as this inherent pressure on the Foxify token within the protocol and the tokenomics, you've also got this lockup and supply scarcity pressure. We're huge fans of deflation. Anybody that's in MDB would know that, and so we want to create pressure on supply where we can. More pressure on supply means more sort of like pressure upwards in terms of the chart. So the way we'll do that is we'll launch the pool USDC, Bitcoin, and Ethereum as it's described in the white paper, and then we have the option, and we can only use this once, otherwise you won't pass an audit, because nobody should be in a liquidity pool that basically, and it's not trustless if somebody can just decide to swap 20% of the USDC for Danny Dog token and basically remove inherent value from the PLP. So we'll have a one-time use function which will allow us, with a vote, a governance vote and approval from the DAO, it will allow us to swap out 5% of the USDC for the Foxify token at a later date after we've done the IDO and the launch. So hopefully that answers the question. But yeah, as I said, so we've done like nearly half an hour just on the first two items, but big ones: the development, new white paper update. I feel like we sort of like snuck it out like an envelope under the door. But actually, there's some huge pieces on there. I know Alice is planning on doing a few threads on the tokenomics and the changes. The LC25 feature, we'll be doing an article and also a video on that, and also the PLP split and what that means. Good. Okay. Very good. Well, look, we can always do with a bit of time back, so I'm not going to complain. I did, and also because I'm answering the questions probably in the chat doesn't help, doesn't make for an entertaining weekly update if I'm also working in the chat. So KN's question was, will we be able to trade with the BTC in the pair, so BTC USD or only USDC? And there are models that have, so for instance, to draw an example, someone like GMX, you actually trade against the asset. Someone like GNS, it's a purely synthetic environment. Ours is a synthetic environment. It's much more scalable, and I'll talk a little bit about that in terms of some of the alpha that I promised to share at the end of the call. So yeah, the synthetic model is much more scalable, and actually GMX already are moving away from sort of their V1, right? For that, I think for that very reason. There are other benefits that I won't go into now, but we like the GNS type model in terms of perps liquidity, because it's it creates a synthetic environment. It's much easier to add additional pairs, and however, it also, in our view, the structure of PLP that we've gone for is almost like a quasi of the two, because a lot of people like GLP because it gives them exposure to some blue chips, and a lot of people like GNS because it's stable and it provides a synthetic environment, and it's much easier to add token pairs. So I think we've got the best of both worlds, where from a trading perspective and a UX perspective and how scalable the platform is, we've got the ability to add any token pair that we want, especially working with people like Peerthoo, stocks, forex, commodities, all of that stuff, and they can add new pairs at the drop of a hat. So it's very, very flexible. But also, you are in a situation where you can also decide to take part in the pool, knowing that you've got exposure to ETH and BTC, which I think there's very few people that are in this industry that shouldn't be long-term bullish on those two assets. Good question here, actually. Not to do your job for you, Alice, but I was about to call you Alex. Who's Alex? So IC Dead people said, sorry to be the guy. Any updates on CEX/IDO stuff? We do have another opportunity. It's just about priorities at the moment. We're like head down in beta development and rollout. So CEX, we're still in the same place we are before. We do have an option in Asia which we're exploring. We've got, I think I mentioned previously, we've been invited to join an accelerator program in Southeast Asia as well, and that's a fantastic networking opportunity. It's going to put us in a lot of networks in Asia. If we do decide to go ahead with that, we do also have an interesting, a very small but interesting exchange, which is like a combination of CEX on top and DX on the bottom, but it's a spot trading exchange rather than derivatives. And they've offered to list us as well, actually. So we're still exploring, but there's other things when I wake up every morning that sort of are taking up 99.9% of my time at the moment. So we'll be looking at that in the coming weeks again. In terms of IDO, we've got 4 options at the moment, potentially another couple more, and we're just sort of discussing terms and approach with all of those guys. I think especially because of the change in tokenomics, we've been having lots of questions around the NFT, whether we would open up the pre-sale NFT again. People, a few people regretting maybe not taking that opportunity to get in and get those. We will talk about it as a team. It's very unlikely that we're going to open that again. You can pick them up on the secondary market, of course, but we do expect there's going to be significant interest in the idea. Maybe IC Dead people will tell me otherwise if he thinks not. Great question. So, how many tokens of pairs are we aiming for when fully launched? Sorry, Alice, I'm kind of jumping in and not letting you do your bit. So how many tokens of pairs are you aiming for when fully launched? It's a really good question. So let's drop the alpha now and we'll move on to some other stuff, because I think it's relevant to this question. So we're currently, as well as all of the stuff that's going on at the moment, we're currently exploring the possibility of listing 3 tokens at once on the options platform in September. The criteria for those tokens is that we're looking where there's trading volume, significant community engagement, and we think there is a fit, right? If there's like a call to action, some sort of motivation that you can create. So there's a few on that shortlist at the moment. So XRP we're looking at, we're looking at She, we're looking at Doge, and a couple of others as well. So we're currently exploring some interesting approaches and methods, and potentially listing 3 tokens in one go in a big listing event, but having sort of a 4+ week marketing, or actually separate marketing campaigns behind each one of the tokens that are listing, but then listing them all at the same time. And the good thing about our platform, there's no dilution of liquidity on the option side. So if one of those communities is super engaged and we see a lot of new users and lots of volume, then we can run with it. And if we see that another one, maybe it's just not a fit, or you don't see the engagement, then we can just delist it, and we move on to the next one. So we are looking at that. In addition, we are going to list, we were originally saying Bitcoin, we are going to list both Bitcoin and Ethereum for the perps beta, and we are currently exploring listing 20 tokens for the start of launch of the platform. So at the end of public beta, we'll go through BTC and Ethereum, and we're thinking about the mechanics of listing 20 pairs on the perps platform all at the same time. So that's the alpha. A lot of stuff going on. It's a bit of a weird time because we know we're coming into August, so really we're really focused on delivery. We're really focused on having a very clear plan on what we want to do coming out of August, and then executing around launch pads, IDOs, listings. We're doing the event in Dubai in October, so it's going to be really busy coming out of August. Crazy September, and then a big crescendo, obviously, with the token launch at the end of September as well. CryptoFox, was that probably more of an answer than you were expecting for the question? Yeah, so there's a question here actually from Screwed Up Texas. So, do we have any estimated? You know, I think, look, I think what would you like to see? You like to see any APR or Y in double figures, right? Nobody wants to see it in single figures. But then at the same time, you've also got to think about potential price appreciation as well, right? So I think when you look at the tokenomics of Foxify, it's kind of all set to squeeze without us being explicitly deflationary. Ultimately, you know, circulating supply is deflationary by design within our tokenomic system, and yeah, but in terms of what that looks like, APIs, there's a lot of variables. You don't know what volume is like in the market. You don't know how much market share you can take. But you know, I think yes, I think, you know, there's been very few things that we've ever done that don't move certainly in one direction to start with, at the very least. So yeah, do I have a view? You know, I would feel very comfortable being in early, that's for sure. Multitasking. People want less detail. Is that? That's huge. Yeah, yeah, huge amount. And another question from Screwed Up Texas. He was asking, you mentioned Foxify State will reward in more Foxify tokens plus stables. Yeah, and the split is 50-50. The split is 50-50, but you will have the capability and option to compound in, to take profit, or to auto stake your earnings from Foxify into the PLP if you so wish as well. So yeah, real loop, and then you could use part of that as trading collateral. It's it's certainly a unique design that we've got. Yep, there's no more questions. you don't want to say names and then have to unpick it. So there's no in this industry nothing is guaranteed. That's what I'd say. Interesting. Alice and I have been doing a lot of interviews in the last week, and um, yeah, so you're interviewing people who have got experience in the industry. They tell you a lot of stuff about the way things are done. You're like, wow, I wouldn't have even thought of that. So yeah, it's yeah, I wouldn't without saying too much. We don't want to count any chickens in this industry. So Maximum asks, will MDB be listed? We could list MDB. The problem is it doesn't. It's not logical. So I think would from a trading volume and user base perspective, I don't think it would. I don't think it would provide and it's very easy to manipulate something that's so small and illiquid, right? If you compare it to say ETH or even things like Sheep, for instance, yeah, then it's we don't want to facilitate. We can list it, but we don't want to facilitate sort of manipulation and things like that because that creates an unfair playing field. Well, there's a lot. You were saying there's no questions, and there's a lot of questions coming through. So I think this is being recorded. So there's no domestics. I don't mind anyone hearing a domestic if it's not on record. It's a great question. We need to do some soul searching on that. There's always difference of opinions. We have the technical capability. Um, yeah, so we're doing some soul searching. We technically we can do anything we like. Uh, it's both a strategic question and a compliance question. So we need to think really hard about that. Yeah, we don't want to end up, and I'm not saying this would be the case, but you just have to tread very carefully when your crypto is non-regulated. You know, those markets are regulated. You could very easily end up in a situation. We $9 in fees and end up getting served. So we've got to think very carefully about it. Will I attend the Tyson fight in October? Good question. It's not something I've actually thought about. We're so head down in the platform at the moment, but it's in Saudi Arabia. But it's potentially an option. It's not something that we've sort of talked about and come to a conclusion on yet. We communicated last week that it's end of September. That's our goal. Indeed. Yeah, no problem. There's a question from KN. So 24th to the 26th of October, European Blockchain Convention. Potentially, we might attend. We are talking to the guys there, but we do have an event early that month. I think, from a analyst can talk about this in our own update. But yeah, we've got the great thing about having the platform fully out, all singing, all dancing is that we can test different marketing strategies in a very controlled environment, and we don't have to be emotional about the efficacy of them. And I think in this industry, very hard to measure or actually to deliver return on investment from a lot of marketing spend is extremely hard. Look at some of the things that we've done, like the lengths that we've gone to, like the effort that we put into sign Tyson Fury, for instance. There's a huge amount of effort that has gone into that. So it's a tough industry. So because we've got the event in Dubai early October, this event will be 3 weeks afterwards. Might be a little bit close. I did go to that event. I did well. I went to I think it was the same event. I'm sure it was European Blockchain Convention in Barcelona at the start of this year. And compared to Austin, actually, so it's similar cost, but compared to Austin, it was very small. In fact, we've got sort of the MENA region is in focus. Asia is definitely in focus. We would like to go back to the US. We are talking to the guys at EBC, but nothing decided yet. And it is quite close to an event that we're already doing. So you'll also want to see. You want to give that event that you're already doing an opportunity to breathe, and it's really important that we actually learn. We'll be here in a year, 5 years, 10 years. There'll always be another million events that we can go to. But it's really important that we get really rich data from the money that we do spend on marketing activities. Cool. Yeah, I assume we will set up a raid on that as well, right? Cool. All right. Feel like Happy Maestro's here, a bit of passive aggression. So so Free Trade Fridays, actually we're really running out of time, so we need to move quickly. So Free Trade Fridays, I'm buzzing for this, mainly because I'm a bit of a degen, and I like things like this. I like quirky things with a bit of buzz around them. So now I need to try and remember exactly what it is and the way it's going to work, so I'm clear. So you so to qualify, you have to have traded minimum $40 on Foxify options. So we thought really hard about this because what we wanted to do is run something that attracts in new people, that encourages people to share. But at the same time, we didn't want to do something, a bit like, you sign up at the bank and then you see their deals from new customers a year later and it looks like you're getting a rough one and anybody new's getting all the juice. So we didn't want to do that. We wanted to make sure that we're rewarding people that have traded on the platform. Right. So to qualify for Free Trade Friday, you have to have traded a minimum of $40 of trading volume, right, against your wallet. So if you put in, $40 trade and you won or lost, then you would automatically qualify, and that has to be done before Thursday at 1800 UTC. Okay. So yeah, heads up on that. So that's how you enter. So what do you need to do, and how does Free Trade Friday work? There will be a window for Free Trade Friday, and to qualify for the free trade, you have to invite a friend, right? So the friend doesn't have to have actually. We want the friend to have not traded on Foxify previously, so you can't sort of go sort of like referring each other. What we want you to do is go and find somebody new. So we want somebody new in the Discord. and they have to be a new wallet on the platform. And what you'll do is you'll just fill out a form. So you put your Discord ID, your buddy's Discord ID. So I choose Alice, for instance. I'll put my wallet that has traded previously, and I'll put Alice's wallet. And then it's a first come, first serve. We're not going to give the number. We're not going to give the number on this, but it is in the tens. And you will get a $20 trade guarantee during Free Trade Friday for you and your buddy, right? So we will announce the wallets, so the wallets and the buddy wallets and the users before Free Trade Friday. So all you need to do is get a buddy that isn't already in the server, get them to join the server, put your wallet, put your buddy's wallet, and then you're in. We're going to pick them out of the hat for Friday. We'll announce it before Free Trade Friday, and then all you have to do is trade. It doesn't make sense to trade less than $20, so $20 upwards. You could just trade $20. If you lose, we're going to reimburse you, but if you win, then fantastic, off you go. So we will reimburse any losing trade up to a maximum of $20 for you and a friend that you introduce. Like we've talked about this a lot internally as a team, a lot of debate trying to make it as clear as possible. I just want to check, is that super clear for people? Silence. A simple process. Yeah. Yeah, the simple steps. I've traded minimum $40 on Foxfi options by 1800 on Thursday. Then I qualify. I just have to find a buddy, get them in. I put my Discord ID, their Discord ID, my wallet, their wallet, and then just wait. And we will announce the free trade winners. And then all you have to do is turn up to Free Trade Friday, you and your buddy, and you get guaranteed $20 refund if you lose. If you put in $20 and you win a 3x, you've now turned $20 into $60. You're a happy boy, girl, or anything in between. But if you lose, then we will send you the $20 of USDC back. So you cannot lose on the $20. During Free Trade Friday. During Free Trade Friday. That buddy doesn't have to have traded the volume to be nominated for Free Trade Friday. Only you have to have traded the volume, if that's your question. But you both, if one of you uses the ticket and the other one doesn't, it's auto disqualification. Uh, uh, I know that might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but we want but both of the members of you and your buddy have to trade on Free Trade Friday, and if you lose, we'll refund the first $20. Jedi, you are in. Someone like Jedi, who's traded a ton, all Jedi's got to do is find someone else, get the Discord ID, get their wallet, put his own wallet, his Discord, their wallet, and bang, wait and see whether he's going to win the free trade, and him and his buddy could win a free $20 trade. You cannot pick somebody. It has to be somebody new. It has to be somebody new. Somebody cannot body up with somebody that has already traded. I'm not a fan of free and fair in the same, not fair being in the same sentence, to be honest. I think it's look, it's about driving engagement for the greater good of everybody, and we're prepared to make that investment. So anybody who has traded can take part. The buddy. So Harley, I'm pausing because Harley has sent me a spec document which I haven't read yet, following our meeting earlier. So I think Harley probably knows the answer to that question better than me. I think he's trying to help me out by throwing me a slow ball so everybody else gets the answer. But unfortunately, I can't even hit a slow ball at the moment. No, no news. No news. We're considering maybe a time cap, but we'll, yeah, it's still in discussion. Have we got anything else? I mean, so your marketing update, and then I think we'll need to close. Actually, we've answered so many questions on the journey. Yeah, great update.